In a world that laughed at one man, the fate of every living creature rested on a single impossible choice. While people celebrated, built cities, and ignored every warning, dark clouds gathered beyond the horizon. They never imagined that the next sunrise would begin the end of their world. Only one family stood between life and total destruction. The earth had become a place filled with violence, greed, and broken hearts. Everywhere people turned away from goodness. They cared only about themselves, hurting others without regret. Day after day, the darkness grew stronger until it covered almost everything. But among millions of people, there was one man who walked a different path. His name was Noah. Noah trusted God, even when no one else did. He lived with his wife, his 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives. They were not perfect, but they chose faith instead of corruption.
Then came a message that would change history forever. God told Noah that the earth would be cleansed by a great flood because of humanity's wickedness. Yet God also revealed a plan of hope. Noah was commanded to build a massive ark, a giant wooden ship unlike anything the world had ever seen. There was only one problem. There wasn't a single sign of a flood. Noah obeyed anyway. Day after day, year after year, the sound of hammers echoed across the land. Massive beams were lifted into place. The ark slowly rose higher and higher. People gathered to watch. At first, they were curious. Then they laughed. Soon, they mocked him openly. What kind of fool builds a ship on dry land? Children pointed and laughed. Neighbors shook their heads. Travelers stopped only to make jokes before walking away. Still, Noah never stopped.
Every piece of wood declared that he trusted God's word more than the voices of the crowd. As the enormous ark neared completion, something even stranger began to happen. Animals appeared. Not driven by Noah. Not chased by hunters. They came on their own. Pairs of creatures from every direction crossed valleys, climbed hills, and gathered at the ark. Birds filled the skies. Lions walked beside sheep. Tiny insects followed giant elephants. The people stared in amazement. For just a moment, some wondered if Noah had been right all along. But instead of changing, they returned to their ordinary lives. They celebrated, they traded, they ignored the warning standing before their eyes. Then came the day no one expected. God told Noah to enter the ark with his family and the animals. One by one, they stepped inside. The great door remained open for a final moment. Silence filled the air. Would anyone else come? No one did. Then, with divine power, the enormous door closed. No human hand touched it. Outside, laughter slowly faded into confusion. Inside the ark, Noah and his family waited. One day passed, then another. Still no rain. Had everyone been right? The waiting grew heavier with every hour. Then, the first drop struck the ground. Another followed. Within moments, the skies exploded with rain unlike anything the world had ever seen. At the same time, fountains burst from beneath the earth. Water surged upward while rain poured downward. Rivers overflowed. Valleys disappeared. Streets became rivers. Panic spread everywhere. The people ran toward hills, then toward mountains. But the water rose faster. The ark lifted from the earth exactly as God had promised.
While storms shook the world, Noah's family held tightly together inside the giant vessel. The ark groaned as waves crashed against its sides, yet it never broke apart. Outside, the old world disappeared beneath endless water. Inside, hope remained alive. For 40 days and 40 nights, the rain continued without stopping. When it finally ended, nothing but water stretched to every horizon. The ark floated through silence for months. There were no cities, no fields, no familiar landmarks, only waiting. Would dry land ever return? Then one day, the ark struck something solid. It had come to rest on the mountains. Still, Noah waited for God's timing. He first sent out a raven. It flew back and forth. Later, he released a dove. The dove returned because it found nowhere to rest. 7 days later, Noah sent it again. This time, it returned carrying a fresh olive leaf in its beak. The door of the ark opened. Fresh air rushed inside. One by one, people and animals stepped onto dry ground. The earth was quiet. It was a new beginning. The first thing Noah did was not build a house. He worshiped God with a thankful heart. Then God made a promise unlike any before. Never again would a flood destroy all life on the earth. As the clouds parted, brilliant colors stretched across the sky. A rainbow. Not merely a beautiful sight, but a lasting sign of God's covenant, a reminder of mercy after judgment, hope after despair, and faith rewarded after years of obedience. Noah had stood alone when the world laughed. He had trusted when there was no evidence. He had obeyed when everyone else walked away. Because one man believed, humanity was given another chance. And every time a rainbow appears across the sky, it quietly reminds the world that even in humanity's darkest moments, God's promise of hope still shines through the storm.